Okay, so we've decided to try something different. The recording while playing was a little bit too rambly, disjointed, and distracted. Not to mention the actual recording of the screen recorder. It kept glitching, so I noticed on replay that my speaking would cut in and out, and I wasn't even sure what I was talking about half the time because it kept crashing in and out. So we're going with recording the screen while playing, and then we will record a recording to go over the top of it after the fact and see how that works out. We're still going with unedited recording of the gameplay because I'm still new to all of this, so learning how to edit videos is not something I've yet done. So yeah, we'll see how this works out. We'll wait until see what AJ's feedback is, shall we? Anyway, that's the housekeeping out of the way. Happy New Year, everybody. It is the 4th of January that I'm recording this, so it's been the new year for a couple of days now, but it is the theme that I want to talk about today. So I'm going to ramble at you about New Year's resolutions. And, how I've organized my life, because I'm sure everyone out there cares. But I found a few things. I did some research while I was trying to set goals for myself and set myself up for success in this New Year, New Me stuff. I'm sure everyone loves hearing that. We all say it, don't we? Admit it. New year, new me. This is the year it's all going to happen. And then it all falls apart. So in the course of my researching, I came across a few things that I'd like to talk about. So the first one is something called the fresh start effect. So there's been a couple of papers written about this, and it's a psychological phenomenon where people they're more likely to pursue goals after dates that feel like new beginnings. So, New Year's Day, birthdays, the start of months, the start of weeks, Mondays, after holidays, things like that. And they refer to them as temporal landmarks. So the term fresh start effect was coined by a group of researchers. So I'm probably going to mangle all of the names, but Henshin Day, Catherine Milkman, and Jason Riis. So they wrote a paper on it. So basically, what they found was that these landmarks creates a separation from like past or old you and past failures, and helps make you feel like a new you, which helps to disrupt daily routines, and it gives you a clear starting place to launch from. So what they found was that it expresses the initial motivation. So yeah, who was I before I decided to look at? Just as a little side tangent there, I've derailed myself because I needed to pause recording because the styrofoam that came in the packaging for my craft desk is still on the floor behind me, and the cat decided to shut it up, so all I could hear was squeaky squeak noise. Anyway, so the initial motivation and the excitement of this new fresh start sees a spike in things like gym membership signups, going to the gym, waking up early, getting into it, all of that sort of thing. Now, the side effect or the problem comes in that it only helps with starting. It helps motivate to get you to launch into all of your new promises to yourself about how you're going to change and what you're going to do, which is why a lot of these resolutions fail. So apparently, like the research is showing that 80% of New Year's resolutions fail before February, because it triggers another psychological phenomenon, which is the false hope syndrome, and I'll talk about that in a bit. So let's park that one. But the basic gist of it is there's an overconfidence that change is easy. All we need to do is, we just need this date. And I promise myself that it's all going to happen. So the date alone is meaningless. What you need is to set up planning and systems and structure to help you actually continue after you've launched. So instead of launching, going up, and then coming straight back nose first into the ground, you might actually get a paper plane to fly for a little bit. So, you need to combine this meaningful date that excites you and gets you motivated with a concrete implementation intention, or, planning, structure, setting yourself up to succeed. So, you could really harness the boost of that excitement of that whole fresh start effect, but you use it as a mechanism for planning, not just oh yeah, I'm going to do that and I'm going to do that on the 1st of January and it's all going to happen. So you take the time that you need to plan so that this actually succeeds. You also need to be able to create your own fresh start so that instead of you fail, you don't wait until the next Monday or the next year or the next month or the next holiday or whatever your significant temporal landmark was before retrying and getting up and dusting yourself and starting again. So your new fresh start is tomorrow, not next year. So, the bottom line of all of that is that the fresh start effect is real and it's useful for initiation, but it's not actually anything that's going to help you long term. You need daily systems and schedule and planning to determine long-term success. Okay, so let's circle back around to what I mentioned earlier, which is false hope syndrome. So what that is, it's a pattern of unrealistic optimism about self-change. People get excited and they think it's easy and they overestimate the speed, the ease, and the likelihood of success from a personal transformation or resolutions or goals that they've set for themselves. And it often leads to cycles of intense motivation, then failure, then discouragement, and then renewal. But that renewal tends to be equally unrealistic. So it's a cycle of failure, I guess. I don't want to say failure. Failure is too negative, but it is a cycle of not actually progressing, I suppose. So more like a cycle of stagnation, I guess. The thing is, it also makes it more difficult each time to get back up, dust yourself off, and go again because you haven't realistically thought through how long it would take, how much effort, how hard it would be. So you got through the first 2 weeks, it's 2 weeks the hardest, and then you failed and everything feels like a failure and you start again, but you failed last time, right? And where's this time going to be any different? And you haven't actually changed anything about your approach or your setup or your routine or anything like that. So it makes it harder each cycle to get back up and start again. So the trap of this and how it influences and goes hand in hand with the fresh start effect and goal setting is that you set unrealistic expectations. So instead of saying, I'm going to wake up at 6 o'clock every day and have breakfast as a small goal that is achievable and doable, I'm going to eat healthy and change my entire diet and get better. It's too vague, it's too big, it's harder to maintain and achieve when you're still in the initial setting up phase. It sounds simple in your head when you go, I'm going to eat 3 meals a day plus 3 snacks and I'm going to drink 2 liters of water. I'm going to do it every day because that's what I need to get healthy. It sounds easy in your head. You also overestimate willpower being the thing that will see you through. I'm not saying willpower doesn't play a part. Willpower absolutely will help you see it through. But in your enthusiasm and excitement about this new change and where you're going to go and all these things, you overestimate how much willpower alone can sustain you through it. So then you underestimate the obstacles. So you're not planning for setbacks or busy days or old triggers or stress or your cat barfing on your rug, and the first thing you had to do that morning was clean it up, and that just put you in a bad mood right from the get-go, and you just need to give yourself a little grace that day. You don't plan for any of those because you think that it's okay. I've set good goals. They're simple enough. We should be able to do this, and I can just soldier through and willpower will get me through. You need to account for obstacles. You need to account for life. So it tends to lead to all or nothing thinking, where one slip up feels like total failure. So, you're planning to quit smoking, you've got your date, the 1st of January, beginning of New Year, that's it. You're going to start the new year as a non-smoker. So you do all the things you're supposed to do. You buy the patches, throw out your ashtrays, you hide all your lighters, you make sure you've got no cigarettes in the house. And the first meeting of the day is spectacularly bad and your mood plummets. And then every minor setback after that increases your stress load. And, it's just too much. So, run out of the house, you buy a pack of cigarettes, have a smoke. And instead of thinking, It was a hard day. I had one. That's a minor setback. I just won't have any more, or whatever it is. That's it. You fail. So I'm just going to smoke like I usually do for the rest of the day, and I'll start again tomorrow or next week or whatever it is. Instead of slipping up, you failed. Or even worse, look, work is obviously bad at the moment. It's not a good time for it. So I'll try again next month. So again, instead of a minor setback or a minor slip up, it's a total failure. So the consequence of this is that, waste emotional energy. It can trigger avoiding starting new things because you feel like you're going to fail. You've tried it 15 times already. You can't ever get there. Maybe you're just supposed to be fat and unhealthy and smoke and whatever it is that you're trying to change about your life. It also distorts your thinking about yourself. You lack the willpower or the strength or the focus or whatever it is. Yeah, these two things work together to potentially set you up to either succeed or fail. You need to be aware of these things that are going on. And I know everyone knows about that. Everyone knows. We tell our friends, it's okay. It's just a bad day. It's fine. Tomorrow we'll start again. But when it comes to ourselves, we give ourselves very little grace because when you're on the outside looking in at someone else doing it, it's easy to see what they've done wrong. Easy to see. And you love them enough that you give them the grace of, you slipped up, you had a bad day, you had a smoke. That's fine. That's fine. You know what? You're allowed to have 2 more today and it's still not a failure because it's been a bad day and I know it's been a bad day for you. But we don't do that same thing to ourselves. We depend too much on these fresh starts or these temporal landmarks, and we set ourselves up with overly ambitious goals and rigid rules around them, and just magically thinking this time things will be different without actually planning for anything, There are workarounds for all of these things. Instead of setting up big goals this year, I'm going to lose 3 kilos a month, every month. Set up small goals for 1% improvement, not 100% transformation. So, I'm going to make sure that I eat breakfast every day. To me, that's actually a major, major struggle. I dislike breakfast. I really, really do. I don't wake up hungry. I don't feel like even thinking about food first thing in the morning. I don't usually feel like thinking about food until around noon, lunchish time. I never really have. But yeah, instead of aiming for, I'm going to do all of this because the plan is, and the goal is to lose 1 kilogram a week. So it's all small ones. And once you've got that under control, move up to the next one. I'm now regularly getting up and eating breakfast in the morning before I do anything else. Now I'm going to tackle lunch. Whatever it is, any improvement is improvement. Focus on setting up systems to support yourself instead of outcomes. So you're building routines and not just wishing for results. Plan for failures. You're going to. We all are going to have slip ups. So you need to plan for them ahead of schedule. Know how you're going to handle it. If this happens, what's my deviation? What's my detour? If I overslept and I really don't feel like breakfast because I got a meeting that starts in 5 minutes, what's my course of action? Okay, before lunchtime, I will eat an apple or something. Maybe you know that that's your failure, so you make sure that you have, like, I don't know, that there's meal replacement shakes. I'm not advocating those as a diet or a meal replacement or anything, but some of them, Nestle, what's it called? Optifast, whichever one's the Nestle one, they have actually done scientific studies on it. So it's not just someone wishing on a prayer and putting protein powder in a bag. So while, I would never advocate someone replace all their meals with it, it would be fine for you to have that as a fallback for, I just don't have the energy to deal with putting things in the plate, cooking things, chewing things, whatever your excuse is. And fine, today I'm just going to put this powder in this shaker, put some water in it, shake it up, and drink it. I know for me, that would actually be one thing that would work because I don't have any problem drinking things. It's eating that I have issues with, and I have a lot of food aversions as well, so that doesn't help. So yeah, plan for failures, plan for slip-ups. Measure progress, not perfection. So, measure your consistency. I have managed to eat breakfast. I'm going to keep using this as my example because I like consistent examples instead of going all over the place. I have managed to eat breakfast 5 out of 7 days this week. that is progress. That is not perfect, but it is progress. You know, that is actually what's the percentage of 5 out of 7? Let's get a calculator. Let's do the math. Oh, I love the math. That's 71% improvement. Think of things that way instead of I didn't do it all the time. I failed. I haven't done this. So 71% improvement is a massive improvement. And practice that self-compassion, that self-grace. See, you missed a day, reset immediately. Don't give up. Just forgive yourself. It's a minor setback. It's a minor deviation. The same grace that you would give a friend or a loved one or, hell, the dumbass cat that's shredding styrofoam again behind me. I can hear it. So it's not about being lazy or weak. It's about being human and overly optimistic. And the cure isn't, it's not less hope or don't do it or don't try. It's better strategy. That didn't work. What will I do next time? So this is where we tie it all together with people like me. How does this stuff affect or impact, or how does ADHD impact and affect false hope and fresh start effect? Well, it's a double-edged sword because ADHD people, we do get quite excited about weird things sometimes. Novelty definitely is something that tends to appeal to us. The clear structure of a temporal landmark, like a New Year's Day, it's a massive dopamine hit. So, you know, we have a surge of focus that we crave. We don't get enough credit for that, right? So while we have executive dysfunction and we have hyperfocuses and, you know, we're distractible by shining things and all of that jazz, we crave structure and routine and focus. We really do. It's just we're not very good at implementing it for ourselves. So, you know, this excitement of new year, new you, fresh start, big major landmark day, it's a dopamine hit. It counters the boredom and initiation paralysis that we suffer. And we do suffer that. Like we sit around and go, oh, I'm going to do that to sit. And then we manage to waffle on about it until we just never do it. So that helps sort of shove us out of that paralysis. It's also like a whole fresh start relief because, you know, ADHD comes with like a lot of shame around past efforts and unfinished projects, and we internalize it a lot. We feel bad. It's not a great thing. You know, we hyperfixate, we get a new hobby, we buy all of the do's-its and what's-its for this new hobby, and then, you know, 5 days later, we've lost all interest. And it feels bad. It really does. It does feel like failure quite regularly. But this fresh start effect, it gives us like a psychological separation and allows us to like mentally shed that baggage and feel like we're capable again. So there's that. There's also the initial surge of the fresh start effect that can, it can help kickstart a hyper-focus that's like targeted. We often have no real control over those hyper-focuses that we get. Something latches and our brain goes, I've decided that I need to do this. I need to see this all the way through. Historically, one of my all-time biggest brain regrets is that when my brain decided to latch on to creating spreadsheets to map out all of the buffs and debuffs that I could get from all of the different generals and gear and all of that jazz in a game called Ebony. I spent about 2 weeks creating spreadsheets with formulas and putting in, and oh my god, it was just 2 weeks of my life I'm never going to get back. But my brain was so fixated on it that I couldn't force myself to let it go. Big regret, huge. Pretty Woman style. So, you know, the excitement of these temporal landmarks and, oh my god, it's all going to happen, it's going to be great, can help push us into a hyper focus of planning what we're going to do come D-Day, which is actually what I've been doing for the last week or so. I've been slowly decluttering and planning and strategizing and trying to develop a system that's going to help me. We also have like a bit of a, this is the bad side of the double-edged sword. We rely too much on crutches, okay? So it can be really hard to start things with ADHD. So there can be an over-reliance on external landmarks or external bookmarks or external, we need to find the right Monday to begin rather than like building the internal systems for starting any time. So we could become too fixated on specific temporal landmarks for actually getting things started. But for the most part, in my opinion, I am not a professional. The fresh start effect can be a massive powerful good for ADHD people. The false hope syndrome, though, that's the perfect storm of disaster. I'm sure anyone who's listening has listened to, me and AJ talk about it before. I think we did one specific episode where we talked about, ADHD itself and the pitfalls. The false hope syndrome is like overconfidence and lack of good and objective goal setting and measurement setting. And then ADHD has a problem with time blindness, optimism bias, motivation deficits, rejection sensitivity, impulsive goal setting. Key takeaways for this is that all of these things that are major landmines and traps for the ADHD brain are things that feed into that problem with false hope syndrome. So difficulty in setting the future time and, unrealistic timeframes to achieve goals and, setting goals that are too big based on emotional motivation, but they're not sustainable because there's no routine or interest. And the rejection sensitivity amplifies the fallout of the slip-ups being total failures and making it harder and harder to pick ourselves up and dust ourselves off and start again. Not to mention like that whole impulsivity and thinking things that, it's easy. We can do that. It's fine. It's fine. And we also tend to put things off till the very last second, which is never a good thing. So yeah, the false hope syndrome is it's almost I kind of almost want to jokingly say that is naturally where the ADHD brain lives. I don't think that's entirely true, but yeah, it is what it is. So basically, the key takeaways here for ADHD people is like harness that fresh start surge, but planning, not just that's when we're going to start, but try and get, if you've got that excitement and got that motivation, it's all going to happen. Try and harness that into focusing on setting up your checkposts and failing your mitigation strategy and reward strategy, because you should have a reward strategy as well, and setting up what the goals are and what the routine looks like to support that goal and how we're going to get there. What are the small steps look like? Make sure you've got small steps, because the sooner you can celebrate successes for ADHD people, the longer we can carry things on, because we need that dopamine here. So we need small achievable goals that make it feel like we're winning to keep us winning. Most people do. This is not exclusive to ADHD. But yeah, definitely want to call out, we in particular definitely need to make sure that we set this up, because, we want to set it up for success. We need to be aware of all or nothing goals. So we need to really combat that false hope syndrome by setting good enough goals, not perfect goals. So things that are achievable and not perfection. So instead of get fit as a goal, just aim to move for 10 minutes. That's doable. It's absolutely achievable. And you need to make sure that you're being realistic about it and not letting your brain get overexcited and go, move for 10 minutes. That's easy. That's too easy. That's too easy. It needs to be, I'm going to go to the gym for an hour every day. Don't just leave it at the small and let it grow over time. And that self-compassion, it's non-negotiable. You need to look after yourself. You need to give yourself grace. You need to allow yourself room to fall. Falling is not failing. It's different. So, so the bottom line here is like, yes, New Year's can be a great starting point for reinventing yourself, setting new goals and achieving wonderful things. You need to combine it with built-in failure mechanisms and a strategy and a process and a system to actually support achieving those goals. So, all of that being said, now that I've waffled on for a long time about all these wonderful psychological things like I'm some sort of expert. Disclaimer, I am not an expert. My degree is in IT. My postgrad studies is in applied linguistics. I've never studied psychology beyond the things that I find interesting. I do not profess to be an expert. This is my lived experience and things that I've read on the internet that have gelled with me. Now, to be fair, when I say read on the internet, I mean things like, journals online at Sage Pub and, pubs online and Google Scholar. I'm not talking about randomly Googling someone's, is MySpace still a thing? Angel Fire, personal website, WordPress blog that they've put out, where they've put out their own ideas on the world. Like, I do dig around and I do try to find things that have come from reputable sources. So, and I know a lot of people think that psychology is a bunch of bunkers, but I've found that it's actually helped me a lot and it helps me improve my life significantly. So, here's what I've been up to, ladies, gentlemen, and cats still shredding styrofoam behind me. I have spent a lot of time over the last week deciding what are the important things for right now and what can come later. I've set myself up a weekly planner, which is broken down into daily planners of 30-minute increments. There is built-in free time in there. There is built-in time for gaming, for hobbies. Work is accounted for. My meals are accounted for. Hell, calling my dad once a week is accounted for. And then I've loaded them all into Habitica, so that I get notifications on my phone to remind me, and that I can click them off and I can get that little quick dopamine hit of getting points and experience in there to level up my character, because I've been ignoring it for too long and now AJ's character is higher level than mine and I'm not happy about that, so I'm going to fix that. I've also got them all on the whiteboard so that it's visible in front of me. So these are good tools for people with ADHD, having visual reminders so that you don't forget, having alerts, notifications, and apps to help keep you on track. I have built in little rewards for myself for different things. So not just did I get through the day and stick to all the things? Yes, I get a reward. I have built in specific rewards for, did I eat my breakfast? Did I eat my lunch? Did I remember to drink some water today? Little realistic goals to try and get it. And then every Sunday, there is 1 hour block in there where I review my plan, my daily breakdown, what worked, what didn't work, and jig it. What do I feel like concentrating on next week? Is there anything that would give me some joy to add into my schedule next week so that I can rejig it? The plan and hope and goal here is that I'm going to build habits into my life that make me feel happy and like I'm getting something out of my life instead of just marching through days towards my death, which I do feel a lot. I've been feeling a lot happier about my life, and shout out to AJ. Her friendship has actually made me feel a lot happier about my life in the last year. The podcast and regularly getting to talk to someone who sort of gets me, who's still trying to train me not to apologize for everything. I cannot emphasize how much my life has improved by accepting the hand of friendship that was held out to me by AJ. You don't need a lot of friends, you just need good friends. So, yeah, there's that. But so far, I have actually been achieving most of my tasks each day, and I haven't been kicking myself for the ones I missed so far, so I am trying to practice what I've just all preached, and I'm really, really hoping and looking forward to seeing improvements in my life and my mental well-being if I keep this up. Even if I can just keep up the self-grace part, keep dusting myself off until I get to where I want to be and where I'm happy to be. I'm excited. Yeah, that's it. That's just what I wanted to ramble about today. I don't know who will listen or if anyone cares, but I found all of that really, really interesting, and I found all of it to be really helpful while I was setting up my system to support myself to try and change my life, because it's not good enough to just go, new year, new you, I'm going to be fitter this year, it's going to be my year this year. You need to take steps to make it happen for yourself, because life isn't fair and you don't get what you deserve. You just get what you get or what you make happen. So let's all try and make good things happen for ourselves this year, shall we? And maybe, if I do keep doing solo ones, I might come up with some sort of intro or outro for myself. But until then, socials are all on our website or in the description below. There's a couple of links to some of the um, journal, the published articles about Fresh Start Effect and the false hope syndrome down below as well. Those publication sites tend to be behind a paywall. I keep forgetting that because, I just log in. um, so if you're really, really interested, you might need to dig to find a free copy or pay to buy the article yourself. Join us on the Discord, where apparently we're all batshit crazy and argue about whether or not Batman, the cat, not the man, is actually strong enough to kick me off my own bed. I still say yes. I don't care what you say, AJ. It's emotional abuse, and he manipulates me into falling off my own bed. Okay. Again, ADHD people and goodbyes. We're not good at it. So I'm just going to stop. Right.